Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Bix Weir, roadtoroot.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. Okay, the return to a gold standard is happening in weird ways. If you've been following the Road to Ruta, you know that the United States of America has the most gold in the world by far. Not the official numbers, 8,200 tons or whatever that number is. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We have millions of tons of gold. All of it has been waiting, sitting there, most of it in the ground still. When the United States finds a large gold find, we lock it up in a military reserve, a national park. Dianne Feinstein is notorious for this down in Southern California. One of the biggest is at Chocolate Mountain, which is now a military reserve. We don't know. We, the people, don't know how much gold there is in the world. I don't think the ruling elite know that either. But we did find massive amounts of gold in the Grand Canyon in the early 1900s. That's the reason for the Federal Reserve System. If you don't understand that yet, go to roadtoroota.com. Go through the... If you go to roadtoroota.com, right at the beginning of the public road, you scroll down a little bit, there are two videos right here. Secrets of the Fed, and then Golden Oldies to a Crypto Future. It explains the Road to Ruta theory. It explains how much research I've done into discovering, is this gold real? Was it really, did they really build a steamship and bring it to the middle of nowhere in the Grand Canyon so that they can move coal for hydraulic mining? And then why did they stop? Why did all these gold miners within the Grand Canyon, why were they forced to stop mining gold at the exact same time that they created the Federal Reserve Act? I go through Supreme Court documents. I go through all the reports out of the USGS, and it is true. Absolutely, there's massive amounts of gold in the Grand Canyon. There's also massive amounts of gold in Alaska. I mean, they have TV shows after it, for Christ's sake. There's gold everywhere, all over the world. Anybody who says there's only the official number is 200,000 tons, is either really dumb or really disingenuous, or just not willing to mentally break down their barriers that guys like Jeffrey Christian, who are the people who told you there was 200,000 tons, are lying to you. Once you understand that, it opens up a whole new world for gold analysis. I'm not saying gold is going to be worth less than it is today. There's so much more US dollars that are being printed. What I'm saying is that gold is not a scarce resource at all. As a matter of fact, there's plenty of gold to go around for everybody in the United States when we get rid of the old system. And that's the Road to Ruta documents. If you go to watch these videos, it walks you through what happened and what's going on now. The computer implementation of market rigging started in the early 70s, late 60s with Alan Greenspan, the world's best computer programmer back in the 60s, financial computer programmer. He blamed himself for Y2K, implementing his computer rigging programs with Arthur Burns, the head of the Federal Reserve System. So we're at the end of that game. Alan Greenspan's like 92 years old or something. I do think he's going to pull the plug before he moves on to his next adventure. But what a ride it's been, and it is time to go back to a gold standard. Now, Zimbabwe just announced that they are starting a gold standard. The problem is they're not stopping the printing of their unbacked fiat, so it won't work. But at the same time, it shows, it's funny because I read this article. Zimbabwe hails gold coin success and wants to issue more. The amazing thing is they're only charging their citizens 5% markup. And we all know what we're paying for Silver Eagle markups right now, right? 50, 60% markup. Zimbabwe is a hell of a lot more interested in their people than the United States of America, if you ask me. And that's sad. That's pathetic. That's embarrassing. Vitris Gibson, the head of the U.S. Mint, has absolutely destroyed any hope or functionality within the Mint. I am very surprised not to read that 90% of their staff have not been fired. What is the staff doing if they're not going to be creating the gold and silver eagles? at least at the West Point Mint where these are made. I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, Zimbabwe is the central bank is selling, the Zimbabwe banking system is selling gold coins. They hail the success and want to issue more. They're going to smaller denominations, still only 5%, which makes you think, well, if it costs, it talks about cost and distribution of 5%. If it costs the same amount to make a 10-ounce coin or a 1-ounce coin, or a tenth of an ounce coin or a 1-ounce coin, is it really the cost and distribution? What does it really cost to distribute? Because with a 1/10 of an ounce coin, you're paying 10 times the premium you're not 10 times the premium. You're paying the same premium, but with a smaller denomination as a percentage, it's going to stay low. It's going to stay low because they do it as a percentage. So they're saying it costs the exact same percentage-wise for 1/10 ounce coin as a 1-ounce coin, which is true. So why not get 10 1/10 ounce coins? Because it's going to cost you exactly the same. And how could doing something 10 times be the cost as doing something once? Right? It's technicality, but clearly the Zimbabwe bank, they don't know what they're talking about. What they're saying is because all the 1-ounce coins sold out so fast, it's soaking up liquidity. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You don't need to soak up liquidity in Zimbabwe. You need to stop printing the money in the first place. There's two sides of that equation. They're saying, well, people are paying in the national denomination, the Zimbabwe dollars, for the gold, so that's soaking up liquidity. Are they burning that new liquidity, or are they putting it back out there? And two, they're printing money like it's nothing, which it is. So that's a silly little argument, but it does show that people are starting to be allowed to speak about this. If the Zimbabwe government announced this 10 years ago, they would probably be bombed out of office. That's how important the monetary system is to the United States, so that we can control what goes on in the monetary system. It's really sad and embarrassing for the United States of America, who can't even make a silver or gold eagle to meet demand. I'll get to that in a second. Silver is still rigged at $20, obviously a gift, and it might be your last gift. I don't know what day. Keep an eye out around September 11th. I'll be talking on the private road about September 11th and all the historical significance of the power to take down the system. Remember what happened on September 11th, 2008. 2008 is when the first takedown, really visible takedown of the bad guys, was almost completed. We were half an hour away from destroying the banking cabal, but again, the can was kicked. When we were on the roadshow, I'd ask everybody to raise their hand, raise their hand if they vote for a bank bailout, and nobody raised their hands. And then I said, okay, raise your hand if you would want your money back out of your 401k and your checking account, savings account. Everybody raised their hand. You can't have the best of both worlds. You either destroy the banking system or you keep kicking the can down the road. There is no in between, nothing in between. I do think they'll try to rejigger and give money to people through the CBDC and all that bullshit, but people will reject it. Because it's not. A CBDC is exactly what they already have. It's just codifying more control within their system. And then we'll go back to gold and silver standard because it's already on the books in the United States. The rest of the world can do what they want. Obviously, Zimbabwe would do well with the gold. Now, probably not silver. They don't have much silver in the ground. They have a lot of gold in the ground, like the United States. So that's the question. What is the U.S. Mint doing? Here's the queen of the mint, Beatrice Gibson, who took over for David Ryder last year. Listen to her bio. On Friday, Beatrice Gibson, this was June 22nd, took the oath of office as the director of the U.S. Mint. President Biden nominated Gibson on December 31st, 2021. On May 4th, the Senate Committee Housing, Banking, and Urban Affairs advanced her nomination. The full Senate approved the nomination by voice on June 15th. So this is really recent. So it was June 15th. June 15th. She was made the Grand Poobah. That's right when we went on the road trip. So it is official. She is the head of the mint. Here's a quote from her. Of course, they had to say she's the first African American to serve as director and the seventh woman to serve in this position. Quote, I am honored and humbled to be confirmed as the director of the mint, said Gibson. Since joining the mint last October, I've been tremendously impressed by the dedication and professionalism of its workforce and the outstanding quality of the circulation coins, bullion coins, and numismatic product made by the mint. Are you freaking kidding me? They can't even create 1/5 of what production is. They should be able to make 20 or 50 million silver eagles per year, at least, at a minimum. And they have upgraded that capability to add all these CNC machines. I'll get that to that in a second. But how could she be so tremendously impressed by an entity that can't even make a freaking coin? Director Gibson is a U.S. Navy vet who joined the mint from the District of Columbia government, the Washington, D.C. government, where she serves as Director of Human Resources. That's pure qualification for the head of the mint. In this role, Ms. Gibson provided executive oversight and execution of human capital programs and services for nearly 37,000 employees. Prior to that, she serves as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Human Resources in the Department of Health and Human Services. Are you freaking kidding me? No wonder we can't make any silver eagles or gold eagles, because we have an HR department in charge of the U.S. Mint. And when I say we can't make any, now is the time, the largest demand ever for U.S. gold and silver eagles, and they can't make them. Or they aren't making them. Look at the production for August. 39,000 silver eagle coins. Look at back in January, 427,000. 100,000, 240,000. We know the capability of the system. At a minimum, they could do it easy, and now they're down to 39,000 halfway through August. And look at the silver eagles. That's the worst. At a time when silver eagle premiums are 50 to 60% of the coin, of the underlying value of silver, they can't make any silver eagles. Look at that. They've only made 408,000. And we know Andy Scheckman had an order that he couldn't fill. He couldn't fill at all, and yet they are not making them. They refuse to make them. This year, total, 11 million. Remember, they have 50 million capacity at least. How do we know this? Well, let's look at the past. See this time frame from 2008 to 2015. This is the exact time frame that J.P. Morgan was busted for suppressing the price of silver, rigging it with spoofing. Correct? Does that look like an anomaly? What were the premiums at this time? It was $3 an ounce, because that's what it cost to make it and distribute it. Why are the premiums so high now? But look how much they could make. Look at this. 47 million in 2015. 47 million silver eagles in 1 year. They can do this. It's all computer controlled now, and they are choosing not to. And you take, obviously JP Morgan was the massive buyer. For my calculations, out of the 8 years that they rigged, the U.S. Mint sold 328 million ounces of silver eagles. Normally, they would have only sold 80, which means about 250 million ounces was taken by J.P. Morgan, who was an authorized distributor. We found that out when they used to publish who the authorized distributors were back in right around when this whole game started. And then J.P. Morgan went to the U.S. Mint and said, you need to take that list of authorized distributors down. So yes, the U.S. Mint colluded with J.P. Morgan, so that J.P. Morgan was able to get 250 million ounces silver eagles, U.S. silver eagles. Now, Ted Butler thinks they melted those down into Comex bars. If they did that, it's completely illegal, against the law. What else isn't against the law, though, really? But why did J.P. Morgan get to buy 250 million silver eagles at a $3 premium, and we have to pay $12 to $15 premiums? I would like that answered, Ms. Gibson. Now, the worst thing is there's so many videos from the U.S. Mint that, I mean, literally it makes you throw up in your mouth knowing that they aren't doing a fifth of what they can do. And listen to these. This is a U.S. Mint public service from 2000.
Hi, I'm Dave Ryder, Director of the United States Mint. I have the distinct privilege of leading the employees who are manufacturing our nation's coin.
Are those guys still there? Are they all still working there?
I want to assure you that the men and women of the Mint workforce are working as hard as they possibly can to get newly produced coins into the economy. In fact, we are on track to mint more coins this year than we have produced in almost 20 years.
Did you hear that? So maybe it's not the employees. Maybe David Ryder, who got kicked out right after he made this, probably, is saying that they're producing more coins than they ever have, and yet the Gold and Silver Eagle program, no, don't you dare.
But right now, coins aren't circulating through the economy as quickly as they were prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, which means that sometimes coins are not readily available where needed. This is not a coin supply problem, it's a circulation problem.
So a lot of people ask me, why doesn't the U.S. Mint ever say what the problem is with the Gold and Silver Eagle program? They do on occasion. But then they found out, by the way, they said, we can't get the blanks. They are required by law to be the highest bidder for blanks. By law, the highest bidder for blanks. And I know that someone came out with an article that says, no, they're not allowed to pay anything over spot. That's bullshit. They can go buy the silver for spot, and then the rest of the cost is the melting down, the making of the blanks, and then the making of the coin. And that's exactly what the U.S. Mint does. So that whole argument that they have to pay only spot for blanks is ridiculous. It's pathetic, and it's really stupid. Let me show you. There was one. There's a video here of, I don't have it right now. I'm going to show you the automated process. The video shows, maybe it is this. Let's take a look at this. It says making a bullion
With the American
coins.
Eagle Gold Bullion Act, the law stipulates that we are to go out and buy gold on the open market. We receive these bars in here when they buy them. We then have to verify that the hallmarks are what they're supposed to be. We have to.
Well, there you go. They buy the COMEX bars off the market, or LBMA off the market. They don't have to pay anything over what the spot price is, like everybody else. They're not. See, the guy who said, they're required by law to pay spot price, they can pay spot price for the bars. And then it's the processing of the bars, which is exactly what the Mint does. Keep listening.
To weigh the bars and assure that these are the weight that is in accordance with the bar list that is sent into us and what we are purchasing. That is feedstock for the gold bullion program. Once we take those bars and have them set up for shipment to our vendor, they then take them and we'll melt them and alloy them to the finest that we need for the product that we are going to produce.
So there you go. That's exactly what is supposed to happen. So the guy who wrote the article, they can't pay, the blanks are the things that are holding up the process. That's a lie. The U.S. government buys the bars, the COMEX weighted bars, or LBMA good bars, gold and silver, and then they have them melted down and produced. Now, that cost is a pass-along. That cost of making blanks is a pass-along. The cost of stamping them is a pass-along. The cost of boxing them up and shipping them is a pass-along. The cost of advertising is a pass-along. That's in the law. So the article that said, no, they can't afford the blanks is bullshit. It's a lie. And he's either really stupid or he just doesn't know the process. Anyway, and I want to show you I did know to a point. Automation really kicked in the U.S. Eagle program in the 90s and 2000s, and it's just now pretty much everything is automated. Here's how silver eagles are made. See that machine just kicking them all out. There you go. That's pretty much what human beings do. Put it on the trays. Now, why can't they make 50 million? If they could do it before, what are these machines? They need oil or something? Why can't they make 50 million Silver Eagles per year? There they are. Come on, guys. Are you kidding me? Beatrice Gibson, why can't you do this? And why aren't you selling them to the public? Why does the public have to pay $12 to $15 over spot, which spot at $20? That's a 50 to 60 to 70% premium on eagles. There is no other country in the world that has it. Even Zimbabwe can make their gold coins at just a 5% premium. Beatrice Gibson, you were just confirmed as the director of the mint, and you cannot do your job. Look at what you've done. You can't even make silver eagles or gold eagles to meet supply, which is illegal. You are required by law to make silver, at least silver eagles, in quantities equal to meet public demand, and it is obviously not happening. Again, here's when JP Morgan was getting them $3 over right here. $3 over spot. $2.50. Actually, they were distributors. They were probably getting them at $2 or $2.25 over spot. So the U.S. Mint has no problem making 250 million ounces of silver eagles for JP Morgan. But for the U.S. customer, oh my God, we can't make that many. And again, this time is the exact time that JP Morgan was committing tens of thousands of instances of market manipulation. Tens of thousands of instances. Right here. Department of Justice to resolve criminal charges related to two distinct schemes to defraud. The first involving tens of thousands of episodes of unlawful trading in the market for precious metals futures contracts. Welcome to America. That's my daily pissed off. I'm going to keep harping on Beatrice Gibson, the U.S. Mint. The U.S. Mint has an obligation to the United States citizen to do your frickin' job. I have not heard of anybody getting fired from the Mint, and yet they can only produce a fraction of what they produce for JP Morgan. A fraction. This is embarrassing. Somebody needs to go in there and clean house. Anyway, this is Bix Weir, roadtour.com. If you want to join the private road, I got a whole bunch of great stuff lately. I'm going to keep pumping the private road stuff I can't talk about on YouTube. Click on subscribe today, and with a 1-year subscription, we will send you a Ruta Lives coin, the coolest coin ever made, double struck, each individually numbered with a hand-painted red heart. This coin is going to be really valuable one day. Not just the melt value of silver, by the way. This is going to be part of history, and you want to get yourself a little part of history. Go to roadtour.com, click on subscribe today. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.